Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Center Stage, Nonprofits of Tucson. We are talking to different nonprofits each week to learn about what's happening in Tucson and to hear about ways that we can get involved in our community. Today we have Adriana Chavez, the Community and Donor Relations Program Coordinator from Beads of Courage. So thank you so much for being here. Can we just start from the very beginning for Beads of Courage? If someone doesn't know anything about it, can you tell us what it is and a little bit about how it got started?
So Beads of Courage is a locally based nonprofit. We started in 2003, so this is our 20th anniversary. We help children with serious illnesses such as cancer cope with their illness and show a physical recording of what they've been through. Our founder, Jean, she worked at TMC in the NICU, and she noticed that when babies and just children were getting stickers and lollipops, it wasn't enough to show what they've been through, and it wasn't enough to commend them for their courage and what they've been going through. And she came up with the idea of beads, and arts and medicine has been a thing for a while now. We actually help the children physically show it, and the beads are different colors and different shapes, and every color represents something completely different. So what we do that program for them. They don't pay for it at all. The families don't have to pay a cent. And everything is volunteer-based and local. So,
wow. So that's a really cool opportunity for a kid who's going through a really hard time. How does the kid get connected to Beads of Courage? Does someone seek them out when they're seeking treatment, or does the family need to go and contact Beads of Courage?
So we are in 400 hospitals in 9 different countries. So if one of the hospitals is participating with us and the child happens to be there, they will automatically be asked if they would like to be enrolled. We also have a Beads at Home program. So for kids that aren't in the hospital as much or don't work with hospitals that we work with, we will send it straight to their homes. There is a form that the families can fill out online, and it will just they will get beads sent to them every month when they refill what they need. So,
wow. And you said every month.
Mm-hmm.
So when a child is receiving beads and they are going through these treatments, what does that process look like for getting the new beads, and how does that kind of work?
So we actually have what's called a prescription card, and it's for every program. So we have 4 different programs, and they will get sent a new one every time that they send us what they need a refill of, and they can physically record what they need for the next following month or 2, however long they want to wait.
And when they're getting these beads, are they putting them together themselves? Are they making something? What is it that they're doing with the beads?
So we send them a long piece of string or a couple, and they just tie them into, we like to say necklaces, but they can do whatever they want with them. We've seen mosaics done, shadow boxes. Some of these kids have miles long of beads on string, and they just decorate their rooms with it at that point because there's so much that they have. So it's kind of up to them, but we just send it to them, basically the raw materials, and they get to do with it what they please.
Wow. Do you know how many kids have received beads from Beads of Courage this year?
This year, no, not the exact number, but I know that as of this year, we are supporting 60,000 kids.
Wow. That's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
That's across 20 years.
Yes.
That's a huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
So you said 400 hospitals, is that right?
Yes.
And in 9 different countries?
Yes.
That is huge. And is it based here in Tucson?
Yes. So our volunteer center is locally based. That is the only building we have at the moment. So everything that gets sent to all over the world is done here in Tucson.
And where do the beads come from?
So we order them from different vendors, the mass-produced ones. And we also have a few programs that are artist-made. So we have handmade glass beads that go to the kids when they overcome a huge milestone, and it's called an act of courage. And we have a polymer clay bead, which is every single time they get discharged from the hospital, they get to pick out one for themselves. So those ones are donated by artists all around the world, and the rest of them are mass-produced.
So if an artist wanted to donate beads, how would they sign up for that, or how would they know what needs to be donated?
So on our website, under donations, there's a artist bead donation portal, and it has criteria for them and what we need and how to send it to us, and a form that they fill out so they can get accredited for what they're donating.
And what is your website?
Beadsofcourage.org.
So that sounds like a really cool, if you're an artist, it's a really cool way to give back and to make a difference for kids. Is that something that maybe someone who isn't an artist but is just interested in learning something, is there an opportunity for them to send things as well?
So we actually sell polymer bead kits online. They can make them at home and they can send them back to us. Those ones are the members' choice beads, so those will go to a kid in a hospital. There's also opportunities just to donate other kinds of beads, whether or not it's craft beads or jewelry beads. We will find a way to use it. We've made a lot of really cool jewelry and art with it to help sustain our programs, and we'll sell them at the craft fairs that we go to or even in our volunteer center. So anything helps.
So if someone wants to shop and see what you have available, is that on your website as well?
Yes, we have the online store on our website, and then at the actual volunteer center, we have a little shop right in the front. So
Very cool. Where is that shop located, your volunteer center?
5905 East Pima.
And is the store open for certain hours or?
So we're open Tuesday through Thursday from 10 to 3, and that is also our volunteer hours.
Wow. Okay, so that's really cool. And you said you're celebrating 20 years this year, and you have one building.
Yes.
Are you fundraising for anything specific, or is there anything that you want the listeners to know?
So we have a Forever Home Fund. We've been trying to find our own building for a while now. We would like to combine all of our assets, all of our offices into one building. So we're trying to raise around $250,000 for a down payment. We are looking at a building right now on Speedway in Alvernon, I believe. So we're just trying to ramp up the funds for the beginning of the year. So hopefully we can move in very soon.
Wow, that's a big next step. That's really exciting. So I'm trying to think through, the process of someone getting involved in the program. And of course, the kids that are receiving these beads, they have the opportunity to choose some of their own beads and to get some of the maybe more standard, I guess you could say, the ones that are the same. So when they're choosing these beads, you said those are the ones that were made by people through the kits that you have for sale, right?
Yes.
And so those could be anything, right? They can make anything that they want to.
So our kits, we sell, I believe it's 5 different patterns, different animals, different characters with instructions. But any artist that wants to make polymer beads, even if it's like a family project, they can make whatever they want and send them to us.
That's what I'm wondering, sitting around, with some kids and trying to work on making things and knowing who it's going to go to. That would be not the specific child, but knowing that, that it's going to a kid who's having a hard time and who's going through medical challenges. That would be a really cool opportunity for a family to do together, and you can do it in your own home.
Yep.
How much are those kits online? Do you know?
I believe they're $25.
Okay.
And if you don't want to bake them at your own home, you can send them to us and we'll bake them at the volunteer center.
Awesome. Are there opportunities to also make beads at the volunteer center?
We used to do that pre-COVID, and we haven't been able to recently, mostly due to the size that we have in our our volunteer center is very small. So we're hoping with the funds in the new building, we'll have a whole designated area and host. We used to do Thursday night polymer bead making, so hopefully we can get that started again.
Once you get in that new building,
yes,
have a little bit of extra space. That's really cool. So if a group wanted to get together and make some beads or to possibly buy some beads, how would they know what is most needed as far as making or purchasing the beads?
So if you would like to purchase, you can just do that online. There's not really a necessity for those. It's kind of like a fun thing that we do for the community. If you want to donate and know what we need, there is a form on our donor webpage. You could also reach out to me personally because I do all the donation processing and receiving, so I could tell you what we really need and what we don't. It's an option.
And how would someone reach out to you if they wanted to ask you questions?
So they could email me. It's adriana@beadsofcourage.org.
And then is there a good phone number to reach Beads of Courage? We'll get that after the break. And then the website again was beadsofcourage.org.
Yes.
Okay, so it sounds like, it's something that I think is so unique to be able to be creative and then to also be able to help someone. And to be able to do that with kids, I'm always asking for opportunities. I want my kids to learn about the community and about opportunities, and I want them to learn to give back. And, I can just imagine, even with young kids, it's just such a cool opportunity to be able to share that with them. Is there any chance, I know I'm kind of catching you off guard here, but is there any chance if you do donate those beads that you've made on your own, that you could find out who they went to, or maybe not, names and specifics, but just generally maybe what state they're in, or just something?
So we actually have what's called a carry a bead program. So you'll take one of the beads with you that comes with 2 beads, and you'll fill out a little card with your information and your story on it. You'll send that card back to us with one of the 2 beads, and that will get sent to a kid wherever. And they usually post about it when they receive it. So their families will tag them on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, but your name will be on there. So you can probably see it on our Facebook or our Instagram when they receive it. So that's a really cool program we do.
That is really
Yeah.
cool. I love that, being able to, I know that my kids would be so excited to see that something that they had done or something that they were part of
Mhm.
showed up, and to see where it ended up on the other end. That's a
Yeah.
really exciting aspect of that. Okay, well, we will be right back after the break. We are talking to Adriana Chavez, the Community and Donor Relations Program Coordinator for Beads of Courage. And there are lots of opportunities. They are locally based, so you can volunteer here in Tucson, and you also have opportunities to do that from home. We'll be back with more information right after the break. If you didn't hear, this is their 20th year, and they are raising funds for a new forever home at one location where that they can be all together, and where they will have more opportunities to host volunteer nights. So very exciting. We have lots more to come. We'll be right back after the break. Thanks for sticking with us. We are talking with Adriana Chavez, who is from Beads of Courage, and we've talked a little bit about how many kids have been impacted. 60,000 kids over the last 20 years, and 400 hospitals in 9 different countries. So we are talking about a huge impact, and this encouragement for kids who are struggling with health concerns, different things, surgeries, different ailments, and they're in a place of vulnerability. And so it's a really cool opportunity to be able to go in and to encourage them and to help bring a little hope. And so I want to hear more about that. But before we hear too much more about that side, can you tell us a little bit about how you joined Beads of Courage and why it is that you are so passionate about them?
Yeah, so I actually was in Girl Scouts for 13 years, and my school was down the street from the old Beads of Courage location. And every month we would go and volunteer for a few hours. And I ended up going to the same high school as our founder's sons. And I was still a Girl Scout, so I was still volunteering, and she offered me a position there. So I started as an intern from the ages of 15 to 16. And then right around my 17th birthday, they made me a program coordinator. So ever since, I've been doing donor relations, community outreach, volunteer work. So it's been really rewarding. My biggest motivation to stay there and just to do what I do is I've always wanted to help people that are going through cancer and all these terrible illnesses, but I really don't like the medical side of it. And I'm a very artistic person. So I just thought this was the perfect way for me to do what I want to do. And it's very rewarding and fulfilling to do this. So.
And have you been able to personally see some of the journeys of some of these kids as they go through these medical difficulties?
Yeah, so when I was starting out as an intern, I did the Beads in the Mail program, which is shipped directly to their homes. I would actually see the ages and the names and all of the things that these kids have gone through, and I had to personally package these beads for them. I vividly remember that during the summer, I was having a really bad day, and I went into work, and I saw a 2-year-old who has gone through 10 surgeries already and was dealing with really, really serious cardiac problems. And it just brought to light that we should really be fortunate for what we have. And just what I was doing was really helping somebody and making an impact, because this 2-year-old child didn't know what they were going through for the time. But when they got older, they would see these beads and they would actually be able to understand that what they've been through is insane, but they have so much courage and that they've been very strong throughout it.
I love the aspect of it too, of it being something visual.
Mhm.
When you're thinking through things, sometimes you don't see the gravity of the situation, and being able to see the beads and to see everything that they've gone through,
Mhm.
it is something I think they'll carry for the rest of their lives and be proud of. And anytime someone asks, I'm sure that they're excited to be able to share and the meaning behind the different kinds of beads and showing that journey. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a big thing.
Yeah. We get a lot of posts and emails from college graduates, high school graduates, and they've had beads since they were infants, but they wear them when they graduate, or they wear them when they go do really amazing things with their lives. and they take them everywhere with them because it's who they are and it shows who they are and what they've been through and all the courage and strength that they've had their entire life.
I think seeing some of those pictures and hearing some of those stories would be just eye-opening and so impactful. Where could we go to read some of those stories and see some of the kids who have gone through so much and are proudly wearing their beads?
Yeah, we actually have a stories tab on our website. And if that's not enough, we have our Facebook page, and those actually come from the families themselves, and we just repost them. Same as our Instagram, it's just Beads of Courage. But we do share them, I want to say, at least 2 to 3 times a week. But we get a lot of pictures from families that receive beads, and their kids are so happy to see them. So
that is such a cool, I don't know, just like the connection, you know? And you had mentioned something earlier that I want to circle back to. And forgive me, I can't remember the name of it, but the 2 beads where you take them and you go and you do something, and then you're writing an encouraging note to the kids and sending it back to them to show them, you know, the personal aspect. Someone actually carried these beads, and someone is writing this specifically for me, and that encouragement factor. What is that called again, and how do you do that?
So it's Carry a Bead. We have a bunch for sale online and on our actual store and our volunteer center. But you'll get the package, and it has 2 beads, and it tells you on the instructions card, you're going to keep one for yourself, and you'll send one back with the note that's included. The note, you'll just write, like you said, an inspirational message, something encouraging for these kids. Usually it prompts you to write, you know, what you did with these beads, where you took them, something about yourself. You write your name at the bottom and where you're from, and you'll just send it back to us, and we send it to any of the kids in our program.
And have you personally done the Carry a Bead?
Yeah, so actually while I was in training for the Army, I got sent some from my bosses, and I had just gone on our 6-mile ruck, so carrying like 70 pounds on your back, and it was exhausting, no sleep for like a week, and I ended up taking it with me and writing the card while I was trying to stay awake, but I just wrote that every day that I struggle and I feel like I'm having the worst day of my life, I just have to remember that there's someone else out there that's having a really hard time. And my little inspirational message was just that they can keep doing this, and that their courage kept me going during the hard times that I faced. So it's really, really rewarding to do that and send it back. And you don't even know where it could go. It could go anywhere of our 9 countries that we work with, any of the 400 hospitals. And it actually has a little tag on the back to post it and take a picture with it. So then you get to see, maybe if the family wants to post it, you get to see where it ended up. So it's pretty cool.
That would be really cool to be able to see the child who ended up with the bead that you carried, and to have that message. And you know, I think that's something that they're going to remember for a long time, and knowing a little bit about who it was that sent it, just it makes it so much more personal.
Yeah.
I heard you mention earlier about first responders being people that the kids like to get these beads from the first responders. Can you tell us a little bit about why that might be so impactful for them to get those?
Yeah, so it's actually a separate Carry a Bead program we call the Hero Carry a Bead. We offer them to first responders, military, anyone that's putting themselves out there for our safety and public safety. We get a lot of feedback when children receive them from cops, firefighters, military, because they just think it's the coolest thing in the world. And it is really cool to see that, you know, a little 5-year-old boy is getting a note from a cop, and he knows that he's facing danger every day, but he took the time out of his day to do this Carry bead for him and send it to him. And it's just a really personal thing. And I think that it just elevates the amount of importance when it's a first responder or a hero, like we like to call them. So we are really stressing that program, and we'd love when people participate in it.
And the Carry a Bead program, you said it cost $15 to $25 to buy the beads. Is it the same price for the Heroes program?
So for the Heroes, we actually usually tend to give them away from like 5 to 10, depending on the packaging, just because they are first responders or military. We like to give them cheaper ones, but they're the same quality beads. They're just a little bit different colored. We like to do red, white, and blue for the hero color scheme. But yeah, for those Carry beads for Heroes, we like to discount them. And then for the rest, it's usually 15 to 25, or we'll do 2 for 20 if you buy them. So.
And, you know, with it being the holiday season, I'm thinking of that person that's really hard to shop for. This could be a really nice gift to give them, where you're buying the set for them and giving it to them and saying, here's an opportunity for you to make an impact on someone else's life. Tell them a little bit about the program, and then to give them the opportunity to go and to do that and to send something. And I mean, no matter who you are, knowing that you had the opportunity to encourage a child who needs that encouragement, I think that that is one of the best gifts you could give. And, you know, if someone's listening that would like to purchase some for first responders, is there a program or a possibility where they could buy those and have those given for free to first responders somewhere in town?
Yeah, so we take any kind of sponsorship. Just email us. Our email is on the bottom of our website for the general email. But if you ever want to buy a bunch of anything and sponsor it for any group of people or whatever your idea is, just email us about it. We always love to work with sponsors. We even have sponsors that help the kids in the program too. So sometimes we can't afford to give them 500 of one bead at a time. So there's a sponsor that will come and pay for that to be sent so we can get reimbursed on our end to get more beads for the rest of the kids. So any kind of sponsorship is welcome and we love it.
And what about for corporate sponsorships or corporate opportunities? Who would they contact? What does that look like?
So it's the same email. It's info@beadsofcourage.org. Any one of us that works there will check it and delegate it to who it needs to go to. But our founder, Jean, she loves to work with corporate sponsors, and we really love the attention that we get from them because it helps us raise funds for these children in the hospitals. And it just really helps us out on our end because we are a nonprofit. So any sort of sponsorship, any sort of corporate partnership is very helpful and beneficial for us.
And the things that you can buy, jewelry and different things that have been made, you said they're available on the website. Mm-hmm. And then you also go to like small festivals and things to sell those?
So in the last year, and I think we're going to continue this into 2024, we've been working with SACA, and we've been going to artist events in Oro Valley. It's usually once a month on a Saturday, Sunday, but we sell all kinds of jewelry or beads or anything that we can raise funds for the program there. And we also accept donations at those artist markets.
And then you mentioned the volunteer hours are 10 to 3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if someone were to come volunteer, what would they do during that time?
So usually it's consisting of packaging literally anything that we send out. Everything is done here, like I said earlier. So we love volunteers to come in because if they don't, then we have to do it. And it just takes a lot longer for the two of us to do it that work at the volunteer center. But it's usually just packaging beads. It could be to a corporate sponsor. It just could be a refill to a hospital order, anything. But all of those will go to a child in our program. And that's the most rewarding thing for volunteers that come in.
And do you ever need volunteers to help sit at some of these events, sit at the table for selling things?
So we're actually in the look for some of those right now. Again, if you are interested, just email that info@beadsofcourage.org. We are looking for some stable and permanent volunteers that can help us at the events that we go to.
And do we need to, if we wanted to show up for those volunteer hours on Tuesday, Thursday, do you need to sign up or register ahead of time, or can you just show up?
So if it's only a few people, we don't need any sort of information or heads up. If it's a group, we do ask that you email us just to give us a heads up so we can make sure we have the space. And if not, we can schedule a separate time for you.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Adriana, for being here. And I do want to just mention one more time that Beads of Courage has been here, and it is locally operated for the last 20 years. And they are looking to try to move everything into one location, and so they are raising funds for that. It's a very good opportunity to give to them and to make a difference, and you can donate through their website, beadsofcourage.org. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week.